Hi there! I was lucky enough to be gifted this lovely fabric from my ex-mother-in-law, who also used to sew a whole lot and now just had a lot of remnants that she didn't want to use anymore. So she called me over and I was very happy to accept. So it's some nice striped velour, and these are some jerseys that don't stretch that much, but my girls really like them, so I'm going to try to turn them into some blouses, some shirts for them. And just going to use this. So this is a completely different quality, but this is like a mesh shirt that my oldest really likes, and I'm just going to try to use the shape of this to make something with this fabric. So a little bit different, but not using any paper patterns, but using this instead to measure from. Woo! Okay, and here you see some of the finished results. We've got this nice wide A-shaped dress with sleeves in one, and that my youngest really likes, and it's quite cool. And then we've got this nice jumper, kind of just like sweatshirt shape, and very relaxed, cool, and of course super soft, so it's very nice to wear. And then as the last thing, I have a little t-shirt that's also made with the material, quite short and a bit tight, but very cool and yeah, lovely. So here you have the fabric, and I'm just placing this in a fold, and I've actually got double folds, so I'm going to cut a bit extra at the same time because I'm folding it again. So I'm actually cutting 2 pieces for the front and 2 pieces for the back at once, and the stretch isn't quite the same. So like the material from the top that I'm cutting from is very stretchy, and actually this stripe one isn't that stretchy, so gets a whole lot tighter than it was supposed to. But as you can see, I'm just cutting through quite quickly. I followed the line of this top around the shoulder, around the arm openings, and then also just cutting down here for a neck opening, and just cutting like for the back neck opening first, and then I'm cutting for the front neck opening on 2 of the layers. That means I've got 2 back pieces, 2 front pieces. Yes, and that's it. And then I've got a little bit left here, so I'm gonna have enough to make 1 pair of short sleeves and 1 pair of longer sleeves. And I've got the folded sleeve there from my top, so I'm folding that up against the folds of the fabric, and again it's lying in several layers, and I'm cutting after tracing kind of approximately where the sleeves are. And because I've got 2 long pieces of fabric, I've got 2 pieces of longer sleeves and 2 pieces of short sleeves, and then I'm going to make the one with the short sleeves for you to see. And this is the one that I'm using for the dress. I'm also folding that up once first, and then folding it twice again. So we've got 4 layers here. I can cut for the front and the back at the same time. And this I'm giving it a whole lot more width, because this is also not as stretchy as the fabric from the original top. So I'm just really giving it a lot more width, giving it a nice A shape, a curve at the bottom a bit up, and then kind of straight, slanted up there, and a curve under the arms, and a straight sleeve there, and then a neck opening, and then a bit of a slanted shoulder seam. And then I'm just opening up here so I can give the neck opening at the front a bit more curve. And this is the nice velour, and I'm just also have that in 4 layers, so I'm just cutting it up to begin with, and I'm actually just giving it quite just a square shape here. So I've got 4 layers, so that means I've got enough for 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces, and not giving this much a lot of shape. I'm actually just like making it quite boxy. And as you can see, my stripes aren't really straight, just noticing that now. But, don't care that much about that, so that's okay. And I'm giving it a little bit of neck opening, and then again folding out 2 layers. No, I didn't do that. I'm going to do that later. So now I'm going to fold for the sleeves, and again I'm just trying to use all the fabric that I have. So basically folding it in, again, 4 layers, so I can cut all the 4 sleeves at once, which means that I just have to open it in the sides a little bit, and I'm just making them quite wide as well. And I really should have measured just from a sweatshirt instead of from that top I measured from, because it's
it's really just like a very guideline-y way of doing it, because I'm taking something that's quite tight and narrow and creating something that's really boxy. So you can preferably measure from something that is also boxy. And then I'm just taking some of these long strips because I want to create a little tube for the neck opening. So I just make sure that I have enough of that. And I also want to make a little tube for the sleeves opening. So I'm just making sure that I have enough here. So I need 4 little tubes for that, because I'm creating 2 jumpers, so with 2 sleeves in each, so 4 in total. So I'm just making them ready here, cutting up. So that's 4, and you can see it's going to be folded up like this. And then so on to the sewing. So at first I'm just doing the shoulder seams here on the big striped A-line shirt, and I'm doing it with my serger because that's so nice, but you can also just do it with a zigzag stitch on your normal sewing machine, because the thing about this kind of jersey fabric, it doesn't really fray, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's the shoulder seams, and then I'm going underneath the arms now from the sleeve opening and all the way down the side, and that's to one side of the bottom, and then doing the same again. Yes, all the way down here to the side bottom, yes. And that's pretty much the dress then stitched together, and then it's just about finishing off the edges. And I've made a very small neck opening, so you can maybe see to try it on, see how small it is, and then mark how much you want cut off. And you can also just cut it a little bit freehand like I do here, because I've made so many sleeve openings. And at the bottom here, I'm taking my normal sewing machine with just a normal stitch seam, and I'm folding it up towards the back, approximately 1 centimeter. And I'm not worrying about doing my serger seam or a zigzag stitch on this fabric here before stitching it in place, because it simply won't fray. So it's not really necessary for this. It's fine to just give it this straight stitch, and that will keep it in place. So that's just doing that all the way around at the bottom. Oh, that was actually not the bottom. That was the neck opening. Haha, fun. And this is actually something that you can't do with many types of fabric, because the fabric will kind of curve in a not so good way. But in this type of stretchy material, you can actually just fold it towards the back and make a little kind of stitch there, and it will be okay. So that's why I've chosen to do that here. I just couldn't see on the video where I actually was. So I'm doing the same on the sleeve openings as well. Just fold it 1 centimeter towards the back approximately. And now I've got the bottom opening here. So that's the big part. So you can do the same here. You have a little bit of curve along the bottom, so you try to curve it also when you fold it a little bit there. So you kind of try to not pull it to make it fit, but just curve it and place it instead. That will make it look nicest after. And if you want a really nice look afterwards, you can also give it a press with an iron, and then it will be really neat. So that's a good idea to do. And then that's the neck opening closed up, it's the sleeve openings finished off, and then the bottom opening, and that's actually that dress. So well done, that's done then. Yeah, that's looking quite neat. I'm happy with that. So that's then that dress done, and it was really easy to make. It's all kind of in one front piece and one back piece, and then it's just ready to go. So that is an awesome make. And with this striped shirt, t-shirt, I'm actually doing quite the same. So because of course I cut for 2 shirts, I'm just kind of taking them apart now. So you'll only see me sewing one of them. So I need 1 back piece and 1 front piece. And again, I'm starting at the shoulder seams. And because this one has added sleeves, this is a little bit shorter. Not so long shoulder seam as the dress I stitched up before. And I'm just placing it here, and as you can see, I've got the front of the fabric up, facing upwards. Then I'm taking the sleeve and I'm folding it. So I've got the center, kind of the middle of the folded sleeve along the shoulder seam, and then stitching it in place, and not pulling, but just kind of placing it on top so it fits all the way around. Folding it out just to check that it's okay. And then just giving it a stitch again on the other side, the other sleeve, putting them both on. And then I'm just finding here the sleeve opening, the 2 edges, aligning them and stitching all the way down and all the way down the side of the shirt, and then that's one side done. You can just turn it out to front to check that it's looking nice, like this, yes. And then, yes, we've got the other sleeve, putting that on, like this, stitching it in place. Again, not pulling, but just placing it nicely. And a sleeve opening, all the way down under the arm, stitching, 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 and sewing again all the way down along the side. We've got the sleeve of the bottom opening, yes, and I can fold it out all the way to the front. And then this is a good time to just check the neck opening. I always cut them quite short or quite small, so I can then later adjust them. And you can always cut them a little bit more open and try them on and then adjust them some more. So this is just finishing it off with my sewing machine, and as with the striped dress, again, it's the same, that I'm just doing a fold up towards the back, maybe like 1.5 centimeters or a centimeter, folding it up towards the back and then stitching it in place with just a straight stitch or a very narrow zigzag stitch. You can also do that. And then you basically do the same with the sleeve opening here, stitching it in place. Again, just to fold towards the back and stitching in place. Don't worry about doing a serger stitch or a zigzag stitch on the edges. They won't fray with this material, so it's fine. And that's the last sleeve almost done here. And so it's just the neck opening. And again, like the other one, I'm just folding it kind of towards the back, very, very narrow. Don't give it too much. So maybe not even a full centimeter, just like 7 millimeters or something, folding it towards the back and then stitching it in place, and that will actually look all right with this fabric if you don't have enough fabric to do like a tube neck lining. But I will show you that in the other jumper that you'll see in a moment. So that's another technique. So just doing that last little bit here, and then you can see it actually looks very nice. And yeah, that's done with a little narrow zigzag stitch and not a straight stitch, but you can do it with both. And then that's this t-shirt done. And then we've got the last, like the nice striped velour, very, very soft jumpers. They're just really good. And again, I got 2 jumpers cut, so I'm just like separating them. Again, I'm starting with the shoulder seams, making sure they're aligned, and then stitching that in place with my serger, finding a sleeve, kind of finding the center of the sleeve and placing it along the side seam, or so the shoulder seam, and then stitching it in place. And it's very important that you kind of fold it so you find the center of the folded sleeve, so you can place that center aligned with the shoulder seam that I've just done here, because then you can make sure that it's properly positioned. Then again, not pull on the fabric, not pull on the machine, and then you simply just fold up the sleeve at the sleeve opening and you stitch all the way down until you reach the kind of the under the arm point where the seams meet, and then again all the way down along the side until you get to the bottom opening of the top. So that's one side done, and then you do the same with the other one. Fold the sleeve, start at the sleeve opening, stitch all the way down, you get to the point under the arm, and then all the way down towards the bottom, the sleeve or the bottom opening. And again, it's done with my serger. You can use a zigzag stitch, and this fabric will fray a bit because it's like velour, so it's kind of has a lot of little fibers. So I'm making now the cuffs. So I've got my little tube here, and make sure that that tube fits. If you need to make it smaller, you can do that, and if you need a bigger one, you need to have some more fabric. Then I'm placing the cuff kind of outside on top of my sleeve, so it will be quite a lot of gathers. So I'm really trying to kind of distribute them evenly as I stitch, and it's also quite a lot of fabric that it needs to sew through, but it's working all right. So that's this, and then I've got my nice cuff with a lot of gathers, and I'm doing the other one. And that's a nice way to finish the edges off, because it just looks nice and neat. Making my little cuff there, my tube, and again placing it on top of the sleeve and making sure that all the gathers all the way around are evenly distributed. And that's that done very soon. And even though I've got this video I've kind of increased the speed a bit, it doesn't take that long. So now I've got my neck opening, and I've cut off all that kind of very, very narrow balk cord, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got a little narrow tube. I'm just going to cut it so it's approximately the same width all the way around, and then I'm going to place that with some little kind of wonder clips on my neck opening. And before you do this, of course, you need to just check that your neck opening kind of fits, and it's important that your little tube is just a little bit narrower than the neck opening, so it can't be bigger. It needs to be a little bit more narrow, because then the fabric will look nicest. And then you simply stitch it in place. You stitch the little tube onto your neck opening, front of fabric towards front of fabric, and then it's going to look nice and neat like this. And then the bottom, that is simply just stitched in place with a fold, kind of 1.5 centimeters towards the back. And you can just do it with a straight stitch or a narrow zigzag stitch. And you can do like a serger seam on top of this if you want to before you do it, because this fabric might fray a little bit, but I was just quick in this case, so I didn't do it. But it was just to simply show you. And I'm sorry the stripes are kind of not straight here. Oh, it's a little bit annoying. To some it will be very annoying, but yes. It looks cool, it's super comfy, very nice, and yes, that was some easy things made with striped fabric. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.